We continue now at the top of Daf Kufchav Gimel Amud Aleph Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 123a. The Gemara here is in the middle of Rabba's opinion. Rabba says, Davar shemalachto le'isser. If you have something which normally the malacha that you do with this item is for isser, for example, you have a hammer which is normally used by a smith, letzorech gufo mutter. It is mutter to use that hammer, letzorech gufo. For example, you can use it for something permissible on Shabbos, like to crack open nuts. So, Eisve Abaye l'Rabba. So now Abaye asks Rabba, he's asking against his leniency. Meducha, let's say you have a bowl. The bowl is used to grind up things like garlic. So let's say you have a bowl which is used for that purpose. Yesh ba shum, if there's garlic inside of it. Metaltanosa, then you can move it. Vimla vein metaltanosa. If there's no garlic inside, you cannot move it. Rashi here says, Meducha shedochen ba shum, you're going to use this bowl to pound the garlic. Im yesh ba shum metaltanosa agav hashum. So the Brisa says that if there is garlic inside, you can move it because of the garlic. But if not, you can't move it. Let's say you want to sit on it. Because since the main purpose of this bowl is to grind something up, which is a Meseches isser, therefore it's muksa, and we don't say that davar shemalachto le'isser is mutter l'tzorech gufo. It seems to be a clear proof against Rabbah. So Amar Le, Rabba responds, Hamani Reb Nechemya. It could be that Brisa follows the opinion of Reb Nechemya to Amar, because Reb Nechemya says, Ein kli nitel ela l'tzorech tashmisho. His opinion is that a kli can only be taken for the designated use, for the use that it's normally designated for, and for nothing else. Gemara says, Eisve, they ask another question. Beishamai omrim ein notzlan es ha'oli lekatzev olav basar. Beishamai say, you're not allowed to take the oli in order to cut meat on it. Beis Hillel matir, and Beis Hillel say it's okay. We'll see in Rashi about this. Veshavin, but they both agree, Shem katzav olav basar, that if he already cut the meat, she'asr l'taltalo, that the item becomes muksa. Rashi here says, Veshavin, Beishamai o Beis Hillel, Beishamai and Beis Hillel, shenachliku b'notzlan es ha'oli lekatzev olav basar b'yomtiv. They argue whether or not you can use the oli. Now, the oli was normally used for Meseches isser. It was used to crush wheat. So even though they argue whether you can use it for meat, Shem katzav olav basar, but if you already did that, you already cut the meat on it, she'asr l'tzorech simchas yontiv, which you did for the purpose of simchas yontiv, she'asr l'taltala. At that point, it's asr to move it. Why? Rashi explains, the only reason that Beis Hillel allowed you to cut the meat in the first place using this oli is because of the leniency for simchas yontiv. Alma mishum da'oli malachto le'isser. So you see, once you remove the simchas yontiv, you've already cut the meat. Now the question is just moving it. You see that since the oli is normally used for a malach of isser, l'chsishas targis v'tisni. Again, like we said, it's used basically for wheat purposes. Uklibas eitzim, or for wood. La'abed behen oros, in order to make hides. Again, it has different purposes, all that are generally usser. So usser becomes usser to move around. So again, you see that a klisha malachto le'isser it's problematic. So the Gemara says, Savar l'shanuye like Reb Nechemya. When Rabba heard this brisa, he thought to say, okay, so maybe we'll give the same answer that we gave before, that it follows the opinion of Reb Nechemya. However, Kevan d'Shamma lohad Amar Reb Chinana bar Shalmi mishmei derab. But then he heard the statement from Reb Chinana bar Shalmi in the name of Rab, the following statement: Hakol modim b'sichi zairi umizuri d'Kevan d'kapit olayu miyachid lehumakam. Everybody agrees by Sichi, Zari, and Missouri that these are things which people are very careful about. They don't want them to break. They designate a place, and therefore they become muksa. In other words, there are items which can become muksa simply because they are valuable and people are very careful with them. You can give the same answer over here when we're talking about the oli. It could be that the reason why it's muksa is because it's something that people are very careful with. But normally, a klisha malachto le'isser would not be a problem. Rashi here explains, Hakol modim, everybody agrees. Rabbanan diflugat ad Reb Nechemya, meaning even the Rabbanan who argue on Reb Nechemya, they say that, again, Reb Nechemya said that a kli can only be used on Shabbos for its designated use, but the Rabbanan are more lenient, but they admit, Besichi, Zairi, Missouri, Kleit, Savoy, and Hein. Rashi says these are kelim that are used to dye, they're in the dyeing process. Rabbeinu Halevi perish clay organ. Rabbeinu Halevi says that they are made for weaving. Rashi at the end says Varisho Nirali. He says it appears to him that the first pshat. So whatever exactly these kelim are, the point is there's an idea of dekapit alayu uman shalo yislachalchu v'shalo yisakmu. The uman is careful about these things that they shouldn't be ruined. So miyachid lahem makom mekatzel lehem biyadayim. He actively designates a place where he wants to keep it, and he doesn't want to move it. Haninami, he's also Ali Meducha. When it comes to Ali, and even the way Rashi understands, even going back to the question from Meducha, again, the bowl which is used to pound the shum, to pound the garlic, you can give the same answer that there's a particular reason why it is muksa. Itmar, it was taught to Rav Chia bar Abba, Rav Yochanan. Rav Chia bar Abba says in the name of Rav Yochanan, Kornus shel zahavim shaninu, that in our Mishnah we're actually talking about a hammer that was made for gold. Rashi explains, Kornus shel zahavim afapi de kapid oleh ktsas, even though this is something that people are somewhat particular about, shetzarach she'echolak lerade tasin, because you want it to be smooth, this hammer, because you're going to use it for thin sheets of metal. And since you could straighten the hammer using an anvil, lo maxile, you don't make it muksa. And this leniency certainly also includes the leniency that Rabbah had, that any smith's hammer would be okay. In other words, this would mean that a klisha malach l'isser is okay. And Rav Shimon bar Abba says, Kornus shel besamim shaninu, that in our Mishnah we're talking about a hammer of besamim. And the Gemara explains, Man damar de besamim, if you allow one of besamim for spices, kol shekain de zahavim, you're for sure going to allow the gold. However, Man damar shel zahavim, if you allow the one that's gold, to straighten out the small sheets of gold, afil avol de besamim kapid alaya. But when it comes to besamim, that already people are makbid on, and it will be muksa. And Rashi says here, Besamim lishchok bo, again, you're pounding the besamim, you're turning it into spices that can be used. Kapid oleh shelo yimas, you don't want it to become disgusting, so you don't want to use it for other uses, and therefore it is going to be muksa. The Gemara continues at the two dots, v'yas hakush, v'yas hakarkar, v'chulu. If you have a spindle, the Mishnah said, or if you have a karkar, which was a kli that was used in the weaving process, you can use them for meleches heter. For example, you want to poke them into some food in order to pick up the food. So the Gemara says, Tana Rabbanu, we learned in a brisa, paga shatamna beteven. Let's say you have a fig that's not ripened yet. They used to put it into straw in order to allow it to ripen. V'charara shatamna begecholim, or you put a cake into some coals. In megula miksasa mutar l'taltala, if a part of it is revealed, it's not totally covered, you can move it. V'imla avasar l'taltala, if not, you can't move it. Rashi here says, in megula miksasa sheyacho la'ochsa b'makam hamegula, you can grab it in the area which is exposed. Ta'afilu tiltul min atzad, like, but that's not even tiltul min atzad. She'ein sarach l'hagbiyah hateven, you're not lifting up the teven, ela magbiyah makam hamegula v'ateven nishmar v'nofel. You pick up the part which is uncovered, and the teven just falls off. So that's the Tanakama's opinion. And Rebbe Elazar ben Tadoy says he's even more lenient. He says, Tochvin b'kusha v'karkar, even if it's entirely covered, you can stick into it the spindle or the karkar, v'hein menaros me'aleim, and then it causes the stuff that's muksa, as you lift it up, it'll cause it to fall off. So Amar Rav Nachman says, Halacha Rebbe Elazar ben Tadoy, the halacha is like Rebbe Elazar ben Tadoy, that we're lenient in this case. So the Gemara says, L'meimer d'savar Rav Nachman tiltul min atzad lo shmei tiltul. Do you mean to say that Rav Nachman holds tiltul min atzad is not a problem? That in a case where you're not directly moving the muksa, but you're moving something else and it causes muksa to move, that's not a problem. V'amar Rav Nachman, but Rav Nachman said, Haipugla, if you have a radish in the ground, milmalo lamata shari, if it's picked up from the wider part, the top part down thinner at the bottom, then it's permitted to take it out of the ground. Mimata lamala aser, but if the thin part is towards the top of the earth, so then when you pick it up, you're going to move all the earth because it gets thicker as it goes down, then it's going to be a problem. Sounds like tiltul min atzad is a problem. So the Gemara says, Hadar Bey Rav Nachman Mehi. You're right, Rav Nachman changed his mind from that case. In the end, Rav Nachman does hold tiltul min atzad lo shmei tiltul, that tiltul min atzad is not a problem. Rashi here explains, Pugla, Tsunun, again, it's a radish, tolush, and you had already detached it from the ground, sheyitzminu ba'artz, and then you buried it in the ground, v'neskala rosho, and the top of it, you can see the top of it is exposed, so milmalo lamata shari, meaning, if the top of the radish is towards the top, and the thinner part is towards the bottom, is deeper in the earth, and when he picks it up, he's picking it up where he's really grabbing the upper thicker part, and then he's just pulling it straight out of the ground. That's mutter in that case. The leka tiltal law for cloud, because you're not even moving the earth. Shari neskala rosha, because the thickest part is the part that's exposed, and you're just picking it right out of the earth. However, mimata lemala aser. But if you're going to pick up from the thin parts, shemez is offer, then you're going to move dirt. Lefi shaguma katsara milmala v'rochav hatznon milmata v'av agav the tiltal offer min atzad. Even though you're moving the dirt from the side, so to speak, meaning indirectly, it's tiltal min atzad she'enu ochso mamish biyado, that he's not grabbing it. He's not actually grabbing the dirt with his hand. Again, it seems that tiltal min atzad is a problem, and the Gemara says that Rav Nachman retracted and really holds tiltal min atzad is not a problem. And the Mishnah said, Machat shal yad litol ba v'chulu. It said you're allowed to use a needle to take a thorn out. Shalach le Rava b'rei de Rabba Rav Yosef. Rava, the son of Rabba, sent the following to Rav Yosef: Yilamdeinu Rabbeinu, teach us, Rebbe, Machat shenitel charora o uksa. Let's say you have a needle where the hole, the eye of the needle has been broken off, or the point of the needle is broken off. Mahu, what is the halach? Amar le setem tani sua. We learned it in the Mishnah. Machat shel yad litol bo esakotz. It said in the Mishnah that if you have a needle, you can use it to take out a thorn or a splinter. Now, what difference does it make when you're taking out a thorn, whether or not it has a hole or not? Clearly, the hole is irrelevant in that case. So it obviously does not need a hole. The needle doesn't have to have an eye in order to be mutter to move around. So it seems that even if it broke, it's okay. So the Gemara says, Eisvei, they asked the question from the following brisa, Machat shenitel charora o uksa tahora. It says, in terms of tumah, that once a needle loses either the eye of the needle or it loses the point of the needle, it is tar, it is pure, it is not considered a kli anymore. Now, generally, you're only allowed to move things that are either kalim or ochlim on Shabbos. They have to be either vessels or food. This is apparently, it's not a vessel, and apparently you wouldn't be allowed to move it. So the leniency that we just said, it's directly contradicted. So Amar Abaye says, Tumma Shabbos Karamis. You're asking a question from Tumma to the Hilcha Shabbos. Tumma Kli Maisa, but when it comes to Tumma, it needs to be a functioning Kli. Le'inyan Shabbos, Midi Dechazi Boyinan. But in terms of Shabbos, it just needs to be a Kli in the sense that it needs to have some type of function. It doesn't need a function in its real intended purpose. V'hanami Chazi L'mishkal Abakotz. And in this case, it is functional. It's functional for Shabbos because you can take out the thorn. So therefore, it can be basically what he's saying is something can be considered a kli when it comes to Hilchas Shabbos, even though it's not a kli when it comes to Hilchas Tumah. So Amar Rava says, no, manda kamosiv shaper kamosiv. The original question was a good question. Midil inyan Tumah lav monahu, because if it's not a kli for Hilchas Tumah, l'inyan Shabbos nami lav monahu. Rava says when it comes to Shabbos, it's also not going to be a kli. In other words, according to Rava, the definition of a kli for Hilchas Shabbos follows the definition of a kli for Hilchas Tumah. So Meisvei, they ask again from a brisa, Machat bein nekuva bein she'ina nekuva mutter l'taltal b'Shabbos. It said if you have a needle, whether it has a hole in it, whether it doesn't have a hole in it, you can move it on Shabbos. V'lo amru nekuva l'linyan tumah bilvad. And the din of nekuva, the din of having a hole, is only relevant for Hilchas Tumah. It's not relevant for Hilchas Shabbos. Seems to directly contradict what Rava just said. Rava said that the definition of a kli is the same for Shabbos and Tumah, and here we're making a distinction. And the Gemara answers, Tirgama Abaya liba de Rava begulmi askinon. Abaya answers on behalf of Rava that we're talking about gulmi. Rashi explains here, begulmi machtena omdos li nakev. What we're talking about over there is needles which are waiting to get the hole placed in them. Once it gets the hole, it's going to have a gemar malacha. It's going to be a complete needle. And of course, if it doesn't have the hole, it's not complete yet. Therefore, such a needle which is, it wasn't a broken needle, that's the point. It's a needle that wasn't yet complete. So for Tumah, it's not a kli because it's not complete. But when it comes to moving it on Shabbos, it's permitted. In other words, what Abai is saying is, when this particular statement over here made a distinction, it made a distinction between Hilchas Shabbos and Hilchas Tumah. That was by a needle that was not yet completed. In such a case, when it comes to Tumah, it's not going to be Tameh. When it comes to Hilchas Shabbos, it's going to be, you're allowed to move it. It's going to be considered something which has a function. So, however, that's so. Tigam Abai leave it again. Begulmi askin zimnin the mimlach alayu mashri lumana. Sometimes you decide, I'm not even going to bother putting a hole in it, and I'm going to use it to take out the coats. Rashi says, the mimlach v'lo nakivlo. You might even decide I don't want it to have a hole. Umashri lumana kemoshri l'netilas coats. You might decide I want it to be a kli as it is, and I want to use it to take out the thorn. That can sometimes happen. But if you have a needle which is broken, the hole broke off, or you have the point of the needle broke off, so that already nobody decides that's a kli adam zorka levein grutos. Such a needle, someone just throws it among other broken metal items, and everyone would understand that that's not a kli, both for Hilchas Tumah and Hilchas Shabbos. So essentially what Abaye is answering is that Rava is correct in certain cases. In certain cases, when you have a broken needle, there's no distinction between Hilchas Tumah and Hilchas Shabbos. If it's not a kli for Tumah, it's not a kli for Shabbos. But when it comes to an unfinished needle, there is a distinction. In Hilchas Shabbos, it might be considered a kli, whereas in Hilchas Tumah, it would not be considered a kli. Gemara says, Asuva Yenuka. What about Asuva Yenuka on Shabbos? Rashi explains, Asuva Yenuka lahachlik seder evarav. Let's say you want to smooth out the limbs of a baby on Shabbos, kishehu nolad evarav misparkin v'tzarach liyashvan. When this baby was born, so the limbs were a bit out of place, and the person needs to settle them in the right place. Is that allowed on Shabbos? Rav Nachman Aser. Rav Nachman says it's forbidden. Rashi says Aser the dami l'masakin. It's similar to tikkun. It's like doing tikkun money. You fix a kli. In this case, you're fixing the limbs of the baby. But Rav Shesha Shari, Rav Shesha says it's permitted. Amar Rav Nachman says, Minoah Aminallah, where can I prove it from? The Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, Ein Osin, you're not allowed to make. And we'll continue this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Chav Gimel Amud Beis.